any trip in Alaska, getting your gear into a compact package is really important. In most cases you're going to fly out in a small aircraft, or at least you're going to be loading it onto an ATV or possibly backpacking it. So you want to make sure that everything goes into a nice small package. What we're going to do first is we're going to demonstrate how a nylon stuff sack works. Most people that have done much camping are already aware of this, but just in case this is new to you, we'll go over a few basic tips. So here I have a nice summer weight bag. It's a 20-degree bag. I take this on all of my summertime trips in Alaska, and this is the nylon stuff sack that came with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stuff this in its bag, and basically the way this works is you just grab a handful of the bag material and you shove it to the bottom of the bag. And you just want to start by packing it nice and tight in the bottom of the bag, because if you don't do that, you're going to get to the end and you're going to run out of room. So we're just grabbing handfuls of bag material and shoving it all the way down to the bottom of the bag. You can see I'm working my way around continuously, and that's so that I don't create too much pressure in one area of the bag and end up with a lopsided package. Almost done. There we go. And this one has a little top flap in it, so we're going to go ahead and tuck that over the top. And we'll cinch our little strap down and we're good to go. This one has a handle on the end here, so you can grab a hold of that. And of course you've got the other end here. Some people like to tuck that inside so it doesn't get hung up on the brush and so on. That's just a regular nylon stuff sack. Now, when I'm packing my sleeping bags for a float trip, I usually don't use the stuff sack at all. What I'll do is I'll take my sleeping pad, I'll roll that up, put it in a stuff sack of its own, make sure I close the valve on the sleeping pad if it's a self-inflator. I'll put that inside a dry bag. Then I'll take my stuff sack for my sleeping bag and just throw it in the bottom of the dry bag and stuff my sleeping bag in the dry bag directly. And the reason why I do that is because if I pack it in a stuff sack before I put it in the dry bag, it's just going to be harder to get it into the dry bag, and it's really not necessary because the dry bag will contain the sleeping bag anyway. Why do I bring the stuff sack? Well, on some trips I might need to hike away from the river, possibly do a spike camp or something like that, and so I need that stuff sack if I'm going to have to load this in my backpack or strap it onto my backpack. So I always bring my stuff sack, and then I'm ready to go for just about any situation. But on river trips, I'll go ahead and stuff my sleeping bag directly into the dry bag. Now, if I were backpacking this, what I would do before I put it in the stuff sack, I would line my stuff sack with a trash bag, and then I would go ahead and stuff it in there, and then make sure that trash bag is twisted at the top really good and tucked in along the sides of my stuff sack. That'll keep my bag nice and dry if I happen to get rained on when I'm hiking out to my spike camp. Okay, so there's our 20-degree bag. I want to show you a couple of other ideas for compressing the bag to an even smaller package. The first one, these are called compression bags. This bag is quite a bit larger than the one that we just looked at. This bag here is actually a 40 below bag, and I use this on trips after about the middle of September. You just don't know what the weather's going to do up here in the fall months, and so after the middle of September I go with a really heavyweight bag, and that's what this bag is right here. So I've got it in a compression bag that cinches from the ends. On this bag there's a cap sewn in at the end of the bag with straps attached to it and sewn right in. And then there's a free-floating cap here at the top. And what I've done is I've just placed the sleeping bag inside the stuff sack, and you can see it's quite a large package, especially compared to the one that we just did. And this one has 4 straps on it. 1, 2, 3, 4 around the perimeter. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by cinching those down the same way you do the lug nuts on your pickup when you're changing a tire. So actually I think there's 5 straps here. We're going to go all the way around, and we're going to cinch the opposite sides down and tension them from the other side. And what that does is keeps us from getting a lopsided package. You want to watch that cap and see which way it's traveling so you don't get out of balance here. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Get a little bit more pressure on it, get it down on the ground here. Yeah, we're getting pretty close. Okay, there we go. So we've got both ends cinched down pretty good. You can see it makes a nice round package. And that's your bag all compressed up. It's about half the size it was when we started. There's another type of compression bag, and this one operates the opposite of the one that we just used. This one is made by Granite Gear, and it's got a flap on the end just like the last one, but only one strap. And then here's the top flap. That's going to go over this way. We'll go ahead and loosen this up, and we'll clip it in. And by the way, this is a 20 below bag, so it's not quite as large as that last bag, but it's bigger than the first one we started with. So I've got my end flap in position. I'll go ahead and tighten that down just a little bit, just to give us some shape there. Okay, and then my side straps, I've got 3 of them. One at the top, one at the bottom, and one in the middle. We'll go ahead and start tightening those down, and we're going to do it the same way we did the last one. We're just going to gradually do each end a little bit at a time. You can see with a little effort we can really tighten this thing down. Okay. Now if we compare these two, and again, if I'm packing out with a compression bag like this, what I want to do is put a waterproof overbag on it of some kind, whether it's a trash bag or something as a liner inside, or a bag that goes over the outside. Either way, I want some way to keep this bag waterproof so it's not wet when I get out to the field. By the way, one other thing, all 3 of these bags are synthetic bags. I don't recommend a down bag on a float hunt or on any kind of a river trip, because if it gets wet, it's really hard to dry it out in the field. This particular bag, I actually was on a brown bear hunt one year, and I had a client that washed some clothes in, and he hung them up in the tent, and without thinking about it, he hung them right over my sleeping bag. When I got in to go to bed that night, I had about a ½ inch of water on top of my sleeping bag. What that means is that the water had soaked all the way through the bag, clear to my sleeping pad, and had puddled up, so I had quite a bit of water in there. So I got in there with some paper towels, dried it out as best I could. When I got in the bag, it actually squelched, and I thought, boy, this is going to be miserable for the whole trip. And by day 3, that bag was totally dry. So just from sleeping and the heat that your body generates, it helps that moisture evaporate off, and that fiber that's used in these bags is a hydrophobic fiber, and it wicks moisture off really fast. So, or it evaporates it off really fast. So anyway, back to our bags here. So here is our side cincher, and here's our end cincher, and you can see the packages are a completely different shape. I much prefer this one, the one that cinches from the sides, over the one that cinches from the end. And the reason is really simple. It's more than just personal preference too. This bag right here, I've actually packed this and had it on the boat, tossed it up on the riverbank, and it rolled back into the river. It's just a big round cannonball. So I really don't prefer the ones that cinch from the end. It makes it into a big round package. It's really hard to package anywhere. I can't really strap that under the flap of my pack very well because it's just a big round shape. I'm much better off with a long skinny cylinder like this. I can put that right under the top flap of my pack or under the bottom of my pack, and it's a lot easier to deal with. So that's the deal on stuff sacks and compression bags.